is so exciting. Tuesday
Yes, it
Night
is.
Swim. I just want to welcome you to our space.
Brother.
And but it's all, the same. And how we met, as you know, Brian, is through my cousin, Bernard. And again, Bernard, he's an amazing soul. So I just love all this amazing energy and how we connect and come
Yeah.
together. And it's just dope, 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 dope. But Tuesday Night Swim, it's all about you tonight,
That's
and
right.
so inspired by you as a musician, as a thought leader, just a giver, a soul pourer, all of those amazing things that you are. And we want love to share more about this and really have a conversation this evening about what inspires you, why your culture is so important to you, what you've learned, your personal journey, all that stuff. So, of course, I'd love to just dive in and get the conversation started and tell us a bit more about how you came to be in this space.
Um, First of all, thank you for having me. I'm trying to get my microphone right so I can get comfortable. Make sure you guys can hear me good. You can hear me good there?
Yeah, we
Good.
hear you.
Yeah, so I've been doing music for the past like 15 years. And during COVID, um that's when things started to shift for me. I used to suffer from depression, and that used to be my identity till one year I eventually overdosed on my depression medication, and then I was put in a vegetable state for 2 weeks. During this time, I had a relationship or a conversation with something that you would call God, but it wasn't words. It wasn't a man in a cloud. It was a feeling, a emotion of love, a high vibrational feeling that I just couldn't understand at that time. But I knew that I had an opportunity to be in that moment of like connection. And the way that I used to view life is it was always why me? Why am I going through this? Why am I dealing with this? And when I went through this state of suicide or whatever, um it sat me down, and in that moment I realized for me this is my heaven and this is my truth. So if you disagree, then maybe this message isn't for you. But I didn't have hands on that side. I was just pure light, pure energy, as if you took a water from this jar and poured it back in the ocean and was connected with one. That was God for me. And during that time, the only voice that kept me here in this realm was my daughter at the time. I could hear her laughs and, just her love saying, Daddy, I love you. I miss you. So that started one portion, but I wasn't really sure about spirituality and God and, all these other things. And then 2020 happened, and it felt like as if for me, God sat me down and was like, "Yo, it's time to connect. It's time for you to take everything that you believe about the world, and you need to do your own research, whether it's searching in and also just asking questions about things that you've been taught to believe." And first thing that started was meditating. And I would sit in my studio and I would look out the window and I would just look at the trees and become astonished. And then I learned how to close my eyes and working on my breathing. And this pretty much drove me to a place of consciousness where I started talking to God. And it wasn't God, please God, get me this. That's not what it was for me. What it was is there was a inner voice that showed me that I can be thankful for the simple fact that I have hands, the simple fact that I have eyes to see the people that I love, the simple fact that the reason why I was embarked on this journey of like depression and whatnot is because that my story was sent here to save people by just sharing my truth. And so that began my journey. And then I started just studying different things, different things about our ancestors, things about meditation, things about astral projection, things about nature. And that just put me on this path of where I spent 15 years in the music industry, where a very vast majority of my songs were about depression, about drugs, about girls, about all the stuff that our people glorify. And then now I'm in this state of where I'm more conscious about my words because everything creates or manifest starting from my words and then into my actions. So if I want to create the reality that I want for myself, I have to be more how can I say, I have to be in control of how I'm presenting myself, the words I'm using, the things and titles that I place upon myself. So now I no longer say I am depressed, I'm sick. I don't, I'm more conscious of my word, and I'm setting my intention based upon the reality that I want to manifest today. So that's kind of like how I got to where I'm at now. And now with music, even the music that I create is more intentional about keeping your vibration high and protecting yourself. But also, where I'm at in this spiritual journey now is that I'm learning how to use my shadow in my light, because if I'm too far left and too far right, I'm an extremist. And to be aligned with God, I have to be right in the middle and balanced. And anytime that I'm unbalanced, I got to
Yeah.
find my consciousness, step into observation, and say, hey, I'm being an extremist. Let me bring it back to the middle. So
Let me
there you
step
have
into
it.
the light, my brother. Step into the
Yeah,
light. All about balance. That's
for
the
sure.
highest knowledge that it is. You spoke
Yes.
in simplicity. Balance. Without balance, you too far left, you too far right, and you out of
Yeah,
balance. Death comes quick. Accidents come quick.
for sure. For sure.
I always tell people when you're on Park energy, and I say this lightly, I love me some Park. Grew up on Park. But I think a lot of people have a misconception of Pac. Like when you high on that energy, like just it almost seems like chaos. You're not gonna be here too long.
That's, I mean, I agree 100%. I think that it's knowing when to use these type of energies, knowing when to step into your divine masculinity, and also knowing when to step into your divine feminine side also. Because in order to nurture your kids from a masculine point, I'm a father of six now, about to be my sixth. I
Oh,
I realize that at
You're right.
points that sometimes I have to address things in a more loving instead of firm action. And instead of being like that, I have to sit down, acknowledge, and nurture my children, even from the perspective as a father, because this is about to be my second son. I got four daughters. And with my first son, what he taught me is that I don't need to scream at him. Sometimes I need to hug my son. Sometimes I need to give him the love that I lack, because us men, speaking from my experiences, that a lot of us men, we our dads didn't even really tell us they loved us. And when they did, it was uncomfortable. So for me to take my son, hold his hand when he needs me to hold his hand, hug him, kiss him, tell him I love him, tell him he is beautiful, tell him he is powerful, speak life into his reality, into him, into his soul. These are where I'm channeling my feminine energy, but also in the masculine, sometimes I got to tell my son, hey, don't you be a quitter. I'm not raising a quitter. You have to know when to channel this energy. So that's really what it's about for me, is that, like you said, that balance. So
define. Can you define feminine energy from a masculine standpoint?
feminine energy is anything that is in a, for me, I would say like your vulnerability, showing that you are vulnerable at times, because when you are over masculine, you make it seem as if you don't have flaws. Here's an example. I'll give you something deep. One day my son was acting up, right? And I went and I hit my son on his leg. I'm not one of those who beat my kids. I'm not into that, right? But I hit
Mm-hmm.
my son, and then I walked away, right? And when I walked away, I started breaking into tears. And I said to myself in my head, I said, I don't want to be the person that my son is afraid of. The only reason why I reacted is because I was frustrated. He's just being a kid. He's still learning the world, right? So then I walked downstairs with my wife, and she knows why I'm crying. It's because of my trauma. This relates to me being abused by my father, right? So I'm breaking down, I'm crying, and my son walks in and he says to me, he says, Dad, it's okay. And I turn to him trying to hide my
Man.
tears, and I'm crying. And I say to him, I said, it's not okay. And he says, why are you crying? And I said, because I remember how I felt when my dad hit me. And he looked at me and he said, "How did it make you feel?" I said, "It made me feel like I couldn't trust my dad." Right. And so in this moment, I don't need to show that I'm perfect. I don't need to show that yeah, I did what I did and you just, no. I can sit in that moment and say, hey, I know what it's like to feel like, and I made a mistake. I was the one who was frustrated. You were just being a kid. Every day you're growing and learning. So every day is an opportunity to sit down and conversate with you instead of being action, 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 action. So in a sense, that's me stepping into my feminine. As far as like we can break it down to like, straight lines and curves and stuff like that. But that's me stepping into that feminine because I can reflect and say to my son, hey, I messed up. That wasn't you, that was me.
How old are we talking?
My
Again,
son or me?
when your son, when he says, "Dad,
Oh,
it's okay."
see, this is why I realized that knowledge is ageless. And we can gain knowledge from
Mhm.
every being in the world. It all depends on how you tune your frequency. So with my children, everything is an opportunity. But he was 6 at the time. And looking at
Wow.
children is
Yeah.
so crazy because like you've heard this a million times. You can buy your kids the store, but they'll be happy with the box. And as I heard somebody say, if you are 30 or older or whatever, you're an adult and you're not happy by just being with nothing, you've pretty much failed at life. You're unhappy. That means you're living in your reality and you can't just be happy that you have hands. Back to that. We
Mm.
have to learn. So, yes, kids, they have so much knowledge just organically being who they are. So, yes, he's
6 years
That's
old.
beautiful.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
that
It's
broke
what
me down
you,
even more.
oh, I bet. Just hearing him say it's okay. Yeah. Well, I love this because this is another question. This feels, as you're speaking about your children and your lessons, this feels so ancestral. And as I'm listening to you, do you feel like there are times that you are tapping into that on a subconscious level? Sometimes you realize, or do you feel that you're kind of moving towards things that are ancient or that you've learned before?
Yeah, so I've always had this feeling that I was called to great or called to do something great, right? Before I thought it was with music, I'm supposed to be a celebrity, but then I realized that I have to compromise who I am in order to fit into the box of celebrity, right? And when I was younger, one of my teachers, she was my sixth grade teacher. She had said to my mom, she was like, "He's gonna grow up to be a pastor," and I'm like, "Me, I don't like church," right? So that always like was in the back of my head. And then the more that I begin to become more connected with who I am, more connected to my soul's timeline, I realized that in a past life I was a leader. The same thing I'm doing now, just slightly differently. And a lot of people tell me, they're like, yo, when you speak from your spirit, it gives me the energy of someone who's a chief. So I've had people do readings. They're like, your energy is the same energy as Kevin Gates. So when you look at Kevin Gates, you're seeing another version of yourself. When you look at Sun Tzu, who wrote The Art of War, this is another piece of you. So based upon what everyone's telling me, and based upon a little diving that I've done with myself in my past life, I was a chief, a leader, a king in multiple realities, multiple timelines, and I can feel it within my blood. I know that when I speak, I know that I'm speaking my truth, but it's going to inspire someone just to find God within themselves.
I was on you. I heard when you said you like, yo, Gates, like you're connected with Gates. And you said, man, Gates, Gates' birthday a day before mine.
It's so strange. It's
Mm.
it's strange, man. Go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you
No,
off.
you good. My birthday. Well, guess what I am?
You're an
Same
Aquarius?
February 9th.
February, yo, it's crazy when you line up with people, and that's how I know I'm in that flow state. I just surrender. I read this book called The Surrender Experiment by Michael Singer, And I'm in a stage now where I allow my spirit, my soul, my intuition to guide me to where I need to be. So a lot of times I look at certain things. I may not say it. For example, Kevin Gates is his birthday is a day before mine, right? And he's an Aquarius. His wife is a Virgo. My wife is a Virgo. Like, it's strange coincidences, and I don't ever want to jump to like the extreme, like, yeah, we're twins or something along those lines. But when you see it and you see how we're similar, you're like, okay, there's a connection there. And it's not just with us, it's a lot of people who share this same type of resonance with the universe. So
Absolutely. Wow, this is exciting. So, speaking to that, what is your cultural heritage? What have you discovered on your ancestral journey and doing your own genealogy? What have you discovered?
so doing some digging, it's crazy because I went through this like binge of like I want to know my bloodline. I want to know where we came from. And so it started off with getting on what is the website where you ancestry, right? And so I
Ancestry.
started doing
Mhm.
I started going down the timeline. Come to find out is like I went on my father's side, my grandmother, they're Peruvian, so I seen their documentation, who they were. But then I went to the black side of my family, and I started tracing back to one, like, where they would change their name based upon if you went to a city. So they would put my ancestors at the time, they would put them under white when they were black. And then even before that, I looked on my grandmother's side, on my mom's side, on my black side, to find out that we're Cherokee Indian. So I started realizing that I'm a combination of a few things. And this lets me know that
Yeah.
uh this bloodline is in my DNA. This is the reason why I am the way I am. Like, I
Mhm.
realized the reason why I look the way I look, it's not because I'm just trying to, buck at the system. It's
Right.
because this is what a leader, a chief looked like in those times.
Mhm.
Gold teeth, diamond teeth, our copper colored ancestors look like all of us on the screen, whether they were light as me as or dark as him, or it that's not, like, we get caught up on just, oh, you got to look this way or you got to look that way. But when
That's
you
right.
when you do the research, copper comes in so many colors.
That's
And
right.
so that's kind of like, I have a whole rabbit hole how I feel about certain things, because I realize that when we identify as a box, we're separating ourselves from God. But if you just do the research and you realize, one, all people come from God and everything in reality is a creation of God. But when you do the research, you realize that everybody around you originated from copper colored people. And that's the
Mhm.
truth.
That's right.
So some people, they get offended because I'll have a conversation and they'll bring up the whole, like, Africa, this and that. And I'm like, well, what about the people who were here?
That's
Did you
right.
know, did you know, like, based upon certain documentation that I've read, that Christopher Columbus was identified as black?
Hmm.
Did you know that our ancestors, literally how it was set up is that they were taking the slaves from here and taking them to Africa? Like, I was so mind blown when I heard this. And the thing about it is, like, I'm not one of those people who jump to this is the truth and this. I just listen to it, I acknowledge it, and I believe that anything is possible. But some things, when they line up, you just can't overlook it. There's a reason why we look the way that we look. We're all copper colored. So
That's right. Absolutely. That's why we focus so much on research here, because ultimately, in the end, it always boils down to that. It's not about your emotions or your feelings. It's about what's right in front of you. And of course, your family tells you when you look at your family and knowing where you're from, where you grew up, all of those things, what ties you to the land. And that's so important for us. And, it's an education, and I'm finding it, and Brian can confirm this too. We used to have a lot of pushback when we did presentations, but the more receipts we begin to show, a lot of that kind of went away. So it's important that we have these really amazing, intense discussions about it, and do this frequently, because what I'm seeing
Mhm.
here, and Tuesday Night Swim, you can tell me if you feel this too, that there's this awakening in us, and we are going deep, and we're not just saying, oh, I'm an African or American. People are going deep and really embracing the indigenousness. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people are beginning to wake up, but I think that the first thing that hurts is that slap in the face that everything that you've
Mm,
been told, and a lot of times is coming from our parents, right?
yeah.
And I feel like it's because we've been told this is the truth from our parents, which is a form of indoctrination. Like I said, forgive me if you disagree, but maybe this message ain't for you. But a lot of things, and that was part of my healing, is like a lot of things I had to go out and do the research for myself, because if I just listened to my mom or what the world was pushing on me, I probably would have went to the army, and that wouldn't have aligned with who I truly am. So I had to kind of go against what my mom's beliefs were, what my father beliefs were, and I had to just do research for myself. And that's where I'm at. It's all about doing the research, but when you bring it to people, I get it all the time. I'm like, people ask me, and this is one of the things I hate, is like with our cultures, I'll be in a room amongst people who look like me, in my opinion, and somebody will come up to me and be like, "Yo, you using the N word? Why? What are you?" And I'll say, "What? Like, what do you like? What do you mean? What am I?" And this is the issue, is that we're so quick to say somebody's not our brother. And in this moment, I like to play dumb and I say, "Oh, you trying to ask me if I'm black? Well, I'm not black. I'm God." And then this is where that the rebuttal comes in. Well, I feel like you can only say that because you're light skinned. And I'll be like, well, if you do the research, you realize a lot of your ancestors are light skinned. Even these people in these other country, they were the same color as us. They were copper colored. So when you do the research, you can present it to people, but a lot of times people are going to like they're going to rebuttal it. But yes, a
Mm.
lot of people are beginning to wake up. A lot of people are beginning to question, and that's why I use my truth, because I want someone to hear what I'm saying and then question everything that they know and unlearn and then relearn who they are today.
Well,
Absolutely.
there was a question I wanted to ask. I wanted to ask while you're talking, why do you think that people are stuck, not accepting certain truths?
I feel like it's because that man, when I say we're, I hate saying people. We're, because I'm still a part of the culture. I just feel like we're too caught up on the trends of the world. You're told this is right, and it comes with like the music industry. I realize what makes a hit record hot is based upon people becoming hypnotized of hearing it so many times. It's the same thing with marketing of commercials. You see it so many times that you start to like this song. You start singing the jingle to the commercial. So I feel like the reason why is because it's not the trend of the world. The trend of the world is you gotta be black. And if you're black, then this is what you are. You're ratchet, you're ghetto, you curse, you drink lean, you do drugs, you scam people. Like that is what's glorified around the world. And that kind of like that's why I separate myself, because when I hear people try to like, oh well, this is what black is and this and that, and I'm like, yo, at the end of the day, like if you really knew the truth, you would look at that culture and realize that we are destroying our people. If you like, people think that the representation of a black woman is someone similar to like Sexy Red. And I'm not here to knock nobody, but that is not what all black women represent. And then people ask me, like, they'll say to me, like, oh, how come your wife isn't black? How come you don't date black women? The fact is that the way that I look and the women that I attract that are quote unquote black are not the ones that I want. I want somebody who is on the level of understanding that I am, and also that is more like in a sense of soft. Like I hate the stereotypes, because then it sounds like I'm breaking down like a black woman, but it's about what I attract. I don't attract the softer more intellectual black woman. Instead, I attract the ones that everybody says is a black woman and this what represents the culture. And it's not what I like. That's not what I want for myself. But based upon my image, based upon me being a part of the culture, that's what I attract. So in that sense, if it was more of the like, if it was the trend at the forefront of the world where everybody knew about the indigenous people, where everything started from. If that was the trend of the world, then it would be more acceptable. But as soon as you
Mm,
bring this up to people, people think that it's like witchcraft or something negative, and it's like, no, bro, it's not. It's not. This is not. This is not witchcraft. Only time that something can be bad is when you allow it to be bad. So
absolutely. Absolutely. Wow, this is an amazing discussion, and I know that there's so much to unpack in this space that we're in, and we know that even though it says 2025, we know that it could be older, we could be going backwards in time, but definitely, what words do you have for people working in this space, living in this space, being in this space, and trying to discover who they are? It seems like there's a lot of confusion right now. We've transitioned to a new there's a even though we may not necessarily be political, we can't ignore what's happening. How do you help people to stay grounded in this Tuesday Night Swim? How do we stay grounded?
I think my best way or my best advice for grounding is to separate yourself.
Mm,
Isolation. Hey, Kevin Gates said it. Isolation brings elevation. When you are by yourself, then you can allow things to pretty much gravitate to you organically. You have to get rid of everything around you and then sit by yourself and say, who am I? And when you can figure out who you are and realize that it starts with being your authentic self, then everything else will begin to become attracted to you. That's where I'm at. Like I said, surrendering. I surrendered to my spirit, and everything just is attracted to me. Whether it's money, whether it's the people that you want in your life, whether it's a job, whatever it is that you want, you have to align yourself with it. And that's why when we go back to manifestation, is like you are the most powerful thing in the universe. You are. And anything that you want, it starts with you. It doesn't matter if you use your phone. This is a tool. You use Sage, you use the soundboard. These are all tools and they cannot do it by themselves. So it starts with you and anything that you want in your life. If you want to fulfill your journey, you want to walk on a better path of consciousness, it starts with aligning you, being disciplined, being authentic, and then push everything else out the way. Don't be afraid of losing something. So
mm. That's deep. Don't be afraid of losing something. I think that's really what people are struggling with. Would you agree?
I mean, I agree. Of course, is like, but I said it. I said it the best, man. Like nobody understands. I've been homeless so many times, but I'll tell you this: I lost everything, everything. I'm talking about my car, my place to stay. I lost everything just so that I can have a relationship with God. And as crazy as that sound, as religious that sound, all I'm gonna say is that you don't need anything. All you need is God. And if God is at the forefront of your life, anything that you lost, you can get it back twice. So that's all it is. Be okay with having nothing and just having hands. Back to what I said, hands is everything. Your experience is based upon how you perceive it. So just the simple fact that you have yourself is enough.
Mm.
Excellent. It's you sound like me. When LaChris gave me your answer, I was like, he talks like I balance unconditional love because I have a message. My three tools are love yourself unconditionally, no judgment of any kind to yourself, and forgive yourself as many times. Repetition. You can speed up the process, you can shorten the timeline, but you could take forever. I mean, you can take as long. If you live to be 80, take that time. And I
Yeah.
was like, wow, you sound like me. And but how can I know you said isolation, uh, leads to elevation. what simple tools, give me three tools that the average person listening to this could utilize, that something that you've learned, some simplistic three tools that in their isolation, how can they elevate with three tools?
I would say meditate, read a book, and fast. Fasting, yo, that puts your frequency on a whole nother level. Right now, I'm 3 days in on a water fast, and I'm vibrating. This is the reason why you guys are getting this message. This ain't written down. I didn't know anything that anybody was gonna ask. I let my spirit speak straight through me. So those are my three things: meditation, fasting, and read a book. The knowledge is in the book. The magic is in the books. So
Wow. What books would you recommend? I know that you've probably read hundreds of books. We do a lot of reading here, the
So
American
this is the book I've been
Aboriginals.
telling you guys about. This is
Oh,
called The Surrender
yes.
Experiment. This is about
Okay.
Michael Singer, and he surrendered to his spirit, and it put him on a journey that will it'll blow anything out of the water. And once you realize, like, your spirit has always been guiding you this entire time, and any time that you feel like it's a pushback, that's because you were going the wrong way. So the surrender experiment, I like the Celestine prophecy and the way of the superior
Yes.
man, and then also the four agreements.
Hmm. Yeah.
Wow.
B, I know you have some books too. We read a lot of books at the American
Yeah.
Aboriginals, tons of books for
I got
research, but just,
I
yeah.
got some savvy books.
Okay, yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, yeah.
I'm on the ancient hermetics. I'm on the emerald tablets.
Oh, the Emerald tablets is like that. The kybalion, yeah.
I now the emerald tablets. Now, when I heard the emerald tablets in 2021, it was Dr. Valentine. He was talking about it on YouTube. I stopped watching it and I downloaded the audio, and it's a 2.5 hour audio. And I'm always a repetitious learner. So in order for me to download, I just download back to back 100 times. It was 2.5 hours. So I had the time, I made time. So the emerald tablets, I've been able to capture and absorb the emerald tablets just by listening to it consciously and with intent, no distractions. I don't have a TV, so I'm like I'm downloading. When I first heard it, I was like, huh, this is new information. This is new data. I understand it, a little bit of it, and then the more I kept listening to it, it was just and I have this book called um Divine Magic.
I'm about to add it to my list. Anytime
It,
somebody gives me a book, I know that is me talking to me. So I'm writing it down right now.
it is basically the Hermetic principles, just basically going
Mhm.
back over the law of correspondence and law of polarity and vibration. And so it's just reminding. So I just do repetitious learning so that I embody it, just like you're doing. Like
Mhm.
we all sitting here, I'm just letting the energy, the knowledge just flow freely by being present. And a lot of times people are either in the future or in the past
Mhm.
and never in the present. And when you was talking about balance, God lives in the center in balance. So it's like,
Mhm.
don't let your past or present steal your present moment.
That's
So you gotta
right.
That's
fight. You gotta fight. Put your dukes up. You gotta
Yeah.
that's
stay balanced, because
that's facts.
if you don't, the distractions of the world will take you away from truth. And you'll get caught up
Mhm.
in the chaos. You get like Anita Baker, you get caught up in the rapture of
Yeah.
chaos.
Yeah. I remember living in Dubai and took a spiritual course over the weekend. And one of the teachers, he's from America, but he was there in Dubai. And we were doing everything from meditating to, just really sharing our stories as a group and individually. And one of the mantras he had was expectations reduces joy.
Mm.
And I have to always remember that. Sometimes I forget that, but it's so true. Expectations reduces joy. And when you realize and you pull that back and you say, why am I expecting that? Is it even meant for me? Like you were saying, earlier Tuesday night, so about how we expect things, or how we, if it's not meant for me, it's not going to be there. So it's quite profound. And when I think about, when I go deep and I look at some of the research from the past, and we're doing presentations and things of that nature, I remember saying to myself, what are we going through? What am I going through? I'm not going through anything. When I really think about ancestrally, they had to have some deep, amazing principles to get them through the other side. You could call it magic, you can call it anything, but it must have been something profound. And I hope that we get that back, because sometimes I feel like we're losing that, and we're getting sucked into, yes, the stuff that's outside of ourselves. So, but yeah, but I'm just so happy that you're here and you're sharing this knowledge. This is a really great beginning to an amazing year that we're going to have here as Aboriginals.
I think he
For
has. I
sure.
think we as Aquarians have no choice, or
Oh
we
no. Oh,
the light bringers, they have no choice. Like at this moment in time, with the for those people that don't believe in the astrology,
Mhm.
Pluto is now will be in Aquarius for the next 18 years, which says power and transformation, and so it's like I feel it naturally, and so
it's
go ahead.
I was gonna say it's just I, this is how I first of all, let me go back. What I want to say is this is that I don't believe there is anything like too bad. Like I said, we all can be extremists, right? So yes, expectations will always make you feel like you're failing. But it is okay to have expectations for yourself. And the reason why I say that is because we have to remain disciplined. But back to what we were talking about, the Aquarius thing, it's so divinely set up that I started realizing that I'm an Aquarius. It's like, it's crazy because I didn't care about this type of stuff before. And then I started learning about the age Aquarius. And then I like when I got cut on, like my power got cut on to step into this leader position that I'm following now. I didn't understand it. And it's crazy that all these things are aligning. So you'll meet people who are Aquarius now. You'll meet people who have the same message. I'm on my hero's journey. I've saved myself. I'm one with God. But I'm telling you, when you look at it, everything is right in front of your face. Whether we're talking about the copper colored people, whether we're talking about magic, whether we're talking about meditation, no matter what it is, it's right in front of you. The age of Aquarius, look how much more the world is becoming consciousness now. Like, or conscious. They're becoming more aware. More people are asking questions. And then when you look at a lot of the Aquariuses, they're all like, we're all kind of stepping into that leadership role. And even back to, since we brought it up before, back to Kevin Gates. Look at the transformation from who he used to be to now. His story is everything, but it's mixed in with his shadow side too. So it's
Mhm.
just crazy how things align. But when you see it for yourself, how things align, especially with us being Aquarius, you're like, okay, God is God is showing me right here. Here you go. This is what God is doing. You want the truth? You want me to show you that you're a leader? Here you go. Let me show you somebody else who's on the same frequency as you, and you guys can share this conversation. So
That's right. You know what? I want to, since you went back and look, Chris started it about the expectation. I want to add a little bit. Everything in life has both positive and negative meaning. And when I got off the expectation, whenever I get disappointed, that's my clue that I'm operating in an expectation that's negative. And
facts.
when I'm operating in expectation and I'm having a positive reaction, I was like, okay, I got a positive belief about this expectation about what I'm feeling. That's what I wanted to add. It's beautiful. It's such a beautiful journey to learn. When I learn how to integrate everything, God, if God is all omnipresent, here, there, everywhere, there's nothing that God isn't. God said, I am what I am, and I will be what I will
Right.
be. And
I
we're
am.
and we're offsprings of that I am. So it means I'm everything. I'm everything. But and it's subjective. So when people call me names or whatever the case may be, I accept it. I eat it. Put me on the cross.
Yeah.
You know, crucify me because you know why I eat it. Because if I deny any aspect, negative or bad, then I'm denying God's existence because God is everything. It's all. It's how do I put it down? Put balance, bring things back to balance, to play the game, the art of balance, the art of war. It's the art of how to balance your life, how to stay in the rhythm
Yep.
of balance, stay in love, stay in the bosom of balance, and just be an observer of the negative or and the positive and say, okay, I see,
It's not.
I see the causes and effects, you know, but I'm gonna stay neutral. I'm gonna stay
Yeah.
right here. I'm gonna stay right here. I'm gonna be a watcher.
I'm gonna stay aligned and in control of my emotions and my reality. Anything that I take personal is my choice, but I have to become conscious of this. So last year around this time, I'm about to be 35 in a week. My birthday's on the 6th, like we just said. Uh, Last year around this time, I sat down with a Buddhist monk because I want to learn everything. At 35 years old, 34 years old, I want to learn everything. I want to learn all the different beliefs and then pick it apart and have my own information. So around this time last year, I sat down with a Buddhist monk, and one of the things that he taught me is going beyond duality. Like I said, you got to be willing to tune in your frequency and get the information from where the universe aligns it. So he taught me about going beyond duality and realizing that even the things that we think are the bad are actually good for us. And here's an example. When I was a child, I was molested, I was beat, I was homeless, I went through all this BS. But when I observed it on the outer perspective and what I call quantum standing, right, I realized that I went through these things because my story is here to save the world. And that's the thing, you have to be open to realize that all these things just create balance. So when you are at a low point in your life, you're down on your last dollar, you're burnt out, you don't know where to go. Just realize what we call a blessing is on its way. It's life is a roller coaster. It's a journey. So you're gonna always fall down and get up, fall down and get up. You have to enjoy. You have to truly enjoy even your lowest times. When you can do that, then you can be in an alchemic state where you can do magic in your reality. You could just be like, man, I choose to be emotionally connected to this, or I just disconnect to it and realize that eventually something good is on its way. And soon as something good is on the way, I also have to be conscious of something bad is going to happen too. Bad, but something on the lower sense because it has to balance out. So that's what it is.
Yeah,
Don't take it personal.
absolutely. Wow. I would love to know your journey to. I know we talked a great deal about the ancestors and you doing your research on your family. What advice would you give to people on this similar journey who are just starting out?
I would say go back. Rest in peace to my grandmother Sonia. She died a couple months, and I had a chance to talk to her before she had passed away, and I said to her, I said, Grandma, what's your nationality? Where your people come from? And she was like, oh, we're Cherokee. I think that it starts with asking those questions and be willing to not just settle for just one answer, but to do that research. It's all about going to whoever the oldest person in your family is and just asking a question, and then allow yourself to do some more research. You can get on the ancestry, you can Google, just find it for yourself, but realize the number one answer to all your questions is right in front of your face. It's you. So that's
Mhm.
what I would say.
Wow. Wow.
Beautiful.
I love
So,
that.
so to collect that data, because if you don't catch those older ancestors before they pass, it's hard to collect that data because they leave with the data. They
They
leave with
sure do.
if they're
Yeah.
if they still have their faculties about them. You could pull data. It's just pulling data from them. Say, what can you remember? And I'm just gonna grab data. I'm just gonna keep grabbing.
Mhm.
I'm gonna ask auntie, great auntie, she's still living, and I'm gonna pull data. I'm pulling data so I can build a case, And then I hear Uncle So and So talking about the same thing. Okay, I know I'm in alignment. Got it. Cherokee, got it. Okay.
Right.
So it's in our blood. The indigenous, the richness, the spirituality is coming back. As above, so below. It's doing a
Mm-hmm.
boomerang. Is coming right back around because it's in our DNA. Oh, it's so dope to just really be alive in this moment in time with
Yeah.
so much information is on these phones, and it's and you said, like you didn't say it to this point, but we either use these phones to educate ourselves or to
Mm-hmm.
entertain ourselves. And
Mm-hmm.
if we mostly using it to entertain, man, we missing it because these phones and what we have, these times are always changing. And so we may not have access to the abundant of
That's
this
right.
spiritual knowledge that's coming like a waterfall, that the ancestors had connected with just naturally,
Mm-hmm.
smoking hashish or whatever they were smoking from the pipes and
Yeah.
and and connecting the
See,
psychedelics.
but that's the thing though, is that we take something small a lot of times and we'll take it as like a stopping point. Like someone would smoke weed and they'll just smoke weed. They
Mm.
won't use it as a tool. We'll abuse it just like our phones. We do a
Right.
lot of things just to like kill time and get closer to death. And then
That's
that's where
right.
like I said, I got to this point now where I'm like, yo, I want to learn. I want to learn every day. I listen to books more than anything. A lot of times I just have it on, listen to kybalion, whatever it is, I just throw it on. And like I said, my spirit shows me. It's kind of like my spirit just starts highlighting stuff. There's a coincidence. These people came from Peru. This story is based in Peru. This person is an Aquarius. This like your spirit starts to highlight these things and then you just follow it. It's in the Celestine prophecy. You surrender to your spirit and then everything will just start gravitating to you. Whatever information that you're seeking, the universe will send it to you. I healed some of my trauma by just touching a tree, feeling the empathy of a
Mm.
tree and realizing that a tree has witnessed so much. And then I sat there one day and I was like, "Who are you?" And a tree said to me, "I am." This is going to sound crazy to people, but anytime that you say I am, that is God. That right there. And the best way to truly say God, because these words they've been manipulated so much, is to say nothing at all. When you are truly speaking to God, you don't have to say anything. You're already connected here in your spirit. So at that point, like it, I can't say it and stress it anymore. You are the most powerful thing, and anything that you want to know about yourself, your history, who you are, the world, spirituality, so on and so forth, it starts with you.
That's
I
real.
love that. I really do. I do because sometimes when I talk about genealogy with people, they'll, go back to what for entertainment purposes, the DNA test tell them, oh, I'm 70% this or I'm 30% that. And I can always tell when I hear that there's something missing from their story. That's the 70-30%. That's not accurate. That's not telling your story. And it sounds like what we're all coming to this conclusion that it still starts from within. And when you can get that and tap into that, that is where you start to really connect to your soul, to your ancestry, to your ancestors who are speaking all around you. So Tuesday Night Swim, this is amazing. It sounds this is so profound. You're so tapped in and you're learning every
Super
day.
talented. I'm
Super
impressed.
tapped in.
I'm
Yeah.
and I'm normally not impressed.
Me either. Me either. I'm a skeptic. I'd be like, man, he lying, man. He's just making
Oh
this
no,
up. But
no, I know you weren't lying. Not because you. How can you talk about balance when you're not balanced?
Mhm.
A person who's not in balance is not talking about balance.
yeah,
A person that's working on unconditional love ain't talking about unconditional love. Even
Mhm.
if you lying, if you're being deceitful, the truth will always come out. So when I heard you talking, I said, "Oh yeah, this brother lives it. Oh, he breathes it. He sucks. Oh, it's in his yeah. Like, give me some
yeah,
more." And I was like, he tapped in.
yeah.
I want to ask you this one question. Well, this simple question before we, I don't, I think we're getting closer to this hour. What are you passionate about in this present moment? What's driving you right now? Because I understand that when you connect with your passion in any moment, is connected with your happiness.
What I'm most passionate about is that I I'm passionate about myself. And this is gonna sound, weird or whatever, but I prioritize me. When I look at people who say God first, I'd say me first because I am the connection to the creator. And what I mean by this is that when you look at me, when you hear my journey, you hear my story, if you take one thing from anything that I say, the one thing I want you to realize is only you can save you.
Mhm.
Nobody else. You don't have to go to church. You don't have to believe any of this. It starts with you. It's all about you. So I'm passionate about speaking my truth. I'm passionate about teaching people how to shift their reality, change their mind state. I'm passionate about saving the world by operating directly out of love and holding myself accountable and being disciplined and setting my attention with all of my actions. That's what I'm passionate about because if I'm not true to myself, I cannot be true to the world. I have to be true to me. So that's what I'm passionate about. Use me as a tool. Do not worship me. Don't look at me as your idol. Anybody along those lines. No, it starts with you. You can do it too. I saved myself and you can save yourself too. And don't allow the world to manipulate you and make you believe that you are a victim. No, get through it. And hey, like I said, find God. Surrender. Surrender. That's it. So, yeah.
Beautiful. That's beautiful. Hey, it's all about self because
Yeah.
if you don't help you, if you claim you love me but you don't love yourself, I hear people say, "Man, I love you, but I treat myself like crap." Right? Like that's backwards. It's like you don't love like it's a facade, and you're not truthful because if you don't work on yourself, if you don't treat yourself, give yourself, if you come from a source of abundance, you know, if you don't treat yourself like you a king or like you, however you feel in the highest regard, can't nobody, people gonna reciprocate how you treat yourself.
How you treat yourself is how you treat your relationship with God.
That's
Like
right.
that's what it is. You are the temple, you are the church,
Mm.
you are the vessel, you are all of it. And if you are just abusing yourself, you are abusing your relationship with God. I wake up every day and I don't even say wake, I say I rise. I rise every day and I go to the gym. And when I mess up, I have my off days. I hold myself accountable and I say, hey, you messed up yesterday. But today, we're gonna make a change.
Right.
That's alignment. That is that balance. Holding yourself truly accountable for everything that you do. Don't take it personal. Don't beat yourself up. Just accountability. It starts with you. It is all you. We can take all this knowledge, right? All this knowledge, you can learn everything, take it in, jot it down, read the books. But if you're not aligning yourself, what's the purpose? You're doing it for entertainment. So it's all about you aligning yourself. No matter what I hear, I still have to make sure that my intentions are in place. You can tell me about my ancestors. My mom could tell me all this magical stuff that I can do. But if I'm not aligned, nothing is going to work. Nothing is going to be real. My reality is not going to shift. I'm not going to be healed. I'm going to be relying on something outside of myself. So, like I said, it's you, all you.
Wow. It's beautiful.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Before we leave it, Chris, I had one more question.
Go ahead, ask
Absolutely. We can talk
ask
all
away.
day.
I
I
got
know.
time. I got time. So however long you want to go, just let me know. I'm here.
Wow.
We
The
locked in.
question, the question is, if you could sum up all of your experiences into like one sentence, like what lessons have you learned since the beginning, as far back as you can remember, to the present? What have you learned about yourself?
I learned that empathy is not a form of weakness. Emotions is not a form of weakness. It is my superpower. If either one of you guys were suffering right now, I can feel it in my spirit. And learning that about myself, I always had these powers. I always been this way. But when you are listening to the world, you tend to take your powers and say that they're a disability or a weakness. Not everybody can resonate on the level that I can. I'm empathetic in nature. So that's what I learned about myself. Find who you are, man. I think my whole message, I'm listening the same way that you guys are listening. I'm listening to my spirit. The message is you. It's you to tap into you. And on a side note, anything that happened to you as a child from your parents, family members, realize that it was their first time on this planet as who they are right now. And if you can realize that we are all children, when it comes to the age of God, the age of the universe, the age of the planet, we're all children. No matter how many times that you become incarnated or reincarnated here, you still have to relearn life in that moment as who you are in that lifetime. So we are always children. So just have that in mind. Everybody, I'm pretty sure that people did their best, and we don't know what our parents suffered with. We don't know what card they were dealt. But if you can acknowledge the things that happened to you and transcend them by accepting them, forgiving yourself, forgiving everybody, and then using that to push you forward, just keep in mind they're children also. So you just have to take the note of your trauma and realize or say to yourself, I'm not going to let this happen. This is going to stop with me. So that's that's what I got for you. Sorry, it gets deep over here. It gets deep over here.
Yeah,
I'm
I love
Tuesday
it.
Night Swim. There's a reason why.
I love it.
Swimming. Hey, swimming.
Jump in.
There you
Wow.
go.
Amazing. Wow. Tuesday Night Swim. This has been such a profound, discussion, but also connection. I really hearing you. And as Brian said earlier, staying in the present moment and taking it all in. And all this alignment is really beautiful. And I want it, hopefully, people will see it and feel this when they see this and be inspired. And how can we reach you? I know people will be really excited to learn more about you. And please let everyone know how to reach you and connect with you.
Yeah, first things first, that if you're listening, if you're seeing this, this was divinely meant for you. If you're looking for me, you can look me up at Tuesday Night Swim. I also run a podcast called the Highly Emotional Podcast, where we talk about shadow work, healing from your trauma, in the search of God, um, spirituality, everything, in the universe. So if you want to be in tune with me, search me up at Tuesday Night Swim on Instagram or the Highly Emotional Podcast. All one word.
Hey,
Oh,
hey, brother.
yeah.
I want to thank you for doing the work. I want to thank you for healing so that you could be a blessing to your 6 kids, your beautiful kids, your
Mm.
wife, your
Building a
family,
tribe.
the son that we all are, from LaChris to you, from being the light, so that because light waters, gives life to everything. So I thank you guys for being the light so that everything around you grows. That's really, I really do appreciate it because we need more light. And then in this chaos, and I'm all about light. And if you ain't talking light and love and healing, then ain't no judgment. But if you come across me, you're gonna get this light, even
Yeah.
in silence.
Hey, even if I gotta use my dart, you still gonna get this light, cause
That's right.
you know
That's right. That's
I
right.
what
like
what
that.
what look dark to you may be light to me. Cause if you come to my door at 3 a.m. unannounced, it's gonna look like dark to you, but it's gonna be light for me and mine. That's all I'm saying.
That's right.
That's
You know what I'm
right.
saying?
That's so
That's
true.
working with that,
It's working
the
the balance.
alchemy.
It's
So
working. It's working the balance
peace,
because
a peace and love all day.
Mm.
But please realize I am a protector.
I got a beast.
Yeah.
We all got that beast. That
Oh
incredible,
my goodness. We
incre-
talk about that a lot. The beast.
incredible. It's an incredible hook was something that the scientists were studying, that they found that when the adrenaline is activated through anger, that humans could do superhuman stuff. So it's the devil. You can call it the devil. You can call it anything, but when the adrenaline is activated, that beast mode come out. Granny could pull a trick. We all gangsters. We all
Mm.
Yeah.
beasts.
Oh, I
But
love
it's
it.
but like you said, it's the balance. How to balance that beast. And hey, beast, get back in the cage. I
Yeah.
run you.
Hey,
You don't run me because if you let the beast run free, then you're gonna be on park mode and you're gonna be in the ground.
then you're gonna live in then you're gonna live in hell. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
that's the thing. We talk about God and the devil. You are the devil and you are God. It's your choice on what vibration you choose to tune into me. We all got demons. We all got shadows. We whatever title you want to put on it is your choice. You want to live in heaven, then you gotta operate with the mind state of heaven. You have to appreciate your life. You have to have gratitude. So